Okay, so it is time for the finale of Midnight Club Street Racing. Since we have now done all of the arcade races in New York, we now must head over to London for the second part of our arcade races. However, I've already done all the waypoint races once. Now, as you can see here, get the same options as New York, and well, I want to go through the waypoint races first because, well, they seem to be the preferable option over the head-to-head, because, well, Yard-o-rama is, well, a bit of a bitch, to say the very least. So, I think whilst I'm doing this, I'm just going to get through the waypoint races first, because it'll at least give me some clarity knowing... Yeah, by the way, this is how I was able to get the names for each of the segments I did in the career mode. And in case if you didn't know that, well, you know now. The same can also be said for the head-to-head races as well, because, well, I figured I might as well mention it now. Anyways, so here is our first waypoint race here in London. Of course, we have one last to do because, well, the World Championship race happened in London and I've already done that. So, our first race is called River Run, and we are racing against Emilio. Tourists everywhere, and not all of them like you. Some of them obey the law of this land. Watch out for them in their bleeding buses, as you mess about on both sides of the river. Now I have done all of these waypoint races once, so spoiler alert, if you do accidentally wind up seeing any of the vehicles I've already unlocked, then well, I did warn you. So for this, it's going to be questionable to say the least because, well, you do need a durable car if you're going to make it to the end of this one. And you also need a good car statistically that you can handle. One that is able to dish out some of the nastiness with these buses. Because I've got to say, these buses are fucking everywhere. And ultimately, I think it's going to be impossible for you to have a perfect run here, but if you can manage to at least slot your way through the traffic... Oh god, here it comes. Yep, it's just started already. Well, here comes probably 10 minutes of my life I'm likely never going to get back because of all these dickish double-deckers. Did I mention London is synonymous with the double-decker bus? It's practically the one thing I can say that's even more synonymous with London than probably Winston Churchill, Sherlock Holmes and the Black Cab combined. In terms of the well-known figures of London that we know today. But yeah, I mean, if you can manage to avoid crashing too much with the buses, then it should pretty much be a relatively easy win once you get used to it. I have done this a few times already to know that in spite of Okay, that was clearly intentional. Yep, everything is just happening all at once. Yep. Things are just falling apart immediately. Okay, please don't cut me off. Please don't cut me off. Okay. That bus did not cut me off. Because I was very fearful in thinking something like that probably was going to happen. But yeah, these bus drivers can be real assholes if you don't manage to avoid them. As in, they can literally change lanes at just the wrong time. And that's practically what can, more or less, cost you the dub. Okay, just gotta survive. Okay, so, not focusing on speed at this point, just trying to make it to the end. And there we go. I win! And it looks as though someone damaged out from the hustle bustle of the buses, as Homeboy 1 damaged out. And Emilio finished nearly 10 seconds behind me. I wonder where Homeboy 2 is. I'm gonna give him about 30 seconds. And if he doesn't get here by then well... Oh, there he is. Okay. Right before I was gonna wait for him, he just wound up crossing the line anyway. And Homeboy 1 damaged out. Okay. So... I would press next race, but I'm not going to because it means I have to stick with the same car, and obviously... As you may or may not have predicted, I obviously don't want to do that. Because it would be a stupid decision for me to stick with the same car for every one of these races when I want to include parity. So that's one of our 4 waypoint races in London done. And now we have to do our second one, which is up against Keiko. It's called Black as Night, and I think this is the one with the black cabs. Anyways, all about the knowledge, this one. As you wind around the city, then move quick smart down to Marble Arch. I think that might have been a wording error there, but anyways. So, I'm going to use a car that I recently unlocked from beating Darren in the Manhattan Loop, and that's going to be this, the Armata Fiorenza 2. Also, the car we win, or the vehicle we win I should say, from that first race is this, the double-decker. Just figured I'd mention that. Anyways, heading over to the second waypoint race, and as for the colour, well, I want to drive this thing in purple. Now, here we go, as I am about to go and close my door. I literally just noticed a few minutes ago that my door was open. Anyways. So, basically what you need to do here is... This one is all about rhythm. And basically, the best way for you to do it is to not be caught out by what's in front of you, but focusing a bit more on the roads themselves. It can be confusing at times, but if you can manage to basically snake your way through these streets and do the same roads that I'm doing, then you should manage to clinch this one fairly easily, even though your visibility is reduced. But if you can manage to get an understanding of these roads like I do, then I don't think it should be too hard for you to win this race, the way I see it. And that's basically what I'm trying to prove here and now. So, got to step on the brakes here because visibility will make you run into that building at least once or twice. It's happened to me enough times for that to be the case. And you may not be hearing the click sound effects, and well, the reason for that is because I've already done these races once, and I've also unlocked all of the cars once, as I mentioned before. Well, all of the vehicles once, if you include the buses. And Homeboy 3 comes across the line second, Keiko finishes third, followed by Homeboy 1, and Homeboy 2 was last. And a total of 15.3 seconds from first to fifth. Interesting. Anyways, 2 races down, and we still have 2 waypoint races to go. As we now move on to our penultimate race, which is this. Speedy Delivery. Just you and a lot of truckers, this one. Sounds like a dream night out for you, mate. Well, Larry, I can assure you, with the car that I used previously, it was anything but a dream night out. If you're wanting my opinion. And, well, I would use the Zender for this, but ultimately, I think the Zender is a bit too lackluster in terms of handling, so I'm gonna try and see what else there is for me to use. You know, I really wouldn't mind using the, you weren't supposed to see that. I really wouldn't mind using the, black cab for this, actually. No, depends on what else there is. No. Actually, yeah, you know what? I am gonna use the black cab for this. Just because I want to at least have a car I can grip with. So, I did use the Zender to win this race previously, but because I really don't want to drive a fast but unstable car, I figure it's probably better for me to drive a fast and more stable car. And it looks as though this thing practically has the same style of gear ratios to what the PT Phoenix has. But at least I can say, unlike the Zender, I can grip with this thing. I also know that I don't have to push too hard in order to win either. I should also mention the guy we're going up against in this race is Larry. And yes, in this race we are basically surrounded by crown mail vans. even though I can clearly tell that realistically, if you have lived in Britain long enough, you would of course know it as being the Royal Mail. I have no idea what his problem was. Well, at least I can say it didn't cause significant damage. I also know that this race isn't too hard to win altogether. The only thing you really need to focus on is just making sure that you stay on track and don't damage yourself out. So, handbrake turning my way through the junction, I should not have downshifted. Especially with this Nürburgring length 4th gear. Which is precisely what I think this thing more or less is. You know what? It's probably going to be easier if I just head forward this checkpoint first. That does not help. But anyways. Starting to get myself back in position as I'm now back up into the lead once again. I'm going to assume that must have been a scoring error, but either way, it doesn't matter because heading through Trafalgar Square and I win the race right at the fountain. It's also kind of lucky to say that the fountain did not cause too much damage in the end there. Hopefully nothing was caught on sound there whilst I muted the microphone for a second there, but anyway. I'm going to record the replay now because I need some clickbait. Also because, well, I figured I might as well do my last thumbnail in very British fashion. And statistically, I think the Black Cab is a good car altogether. It's certainly much easier to drive than the Xander was. I'm also glad to say that I got myself involved in a lot less carnage as a result. At least in terms of the damage I took anyway. Well, at least I can say at the time of when that happened I did have a huge lead, so it is fair to say that in the end I more or less got lucky. Even though I did collide with the fountain there at the end. But either way, I still got the job done. Excuse me. Which I think is about the only thing that really matters. Is it possible for me to actually pause the replay? Oh, it is. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna end the replay there. And head back to the main menu. That's an interesting little touch. Anyways, one waypoint race left. And that is this. Jump the Thames. You only need to worry about one thing in this race. Beating the other cars. Easy does it. So we are going up against the London champ once again, Darren Thurrock. And if I'm not mistaken, this should also be the final waypoint race of the game. And as for the car I'm going to use, well... it depends on what there is available to me. No, not the Modicum. Definitely not the Zander. Yeah, by the way, this is the car we unlock from winning Speedy Delivery, if you haven't seen it already. We get the Crown Mail van. Let's have a look. What car should I use? My head is telling me to use the Phoenix DDX, but my heart is thinking something else. Something I've not used yet. And it is hard to know for sure, because I've used a lot of these cars already. You know what? Fuck it. I am gonna use the Phoenix DDX. And I am gonna drive this thing in pink. Because I want to stand out. So, final race. Well, final waypoint race of Midnight Club Street Racing. And then once we are done with this, we can move on to the head-to-head race. Which, as I said before, is a bit of a bitch to say the very least. And that's part of the reason why I chose to do the waypoint races first. Because I know they'll be easier, and I also know there will be less complications when I take the jump. And hopefully, if it's possible, I will not land upside down. And handbrake turning my way through here. And that was a very poor exit I got compared to everyone else. I'm starting to think I might have made a mistake here. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to let the mistakes help me to catch up. Because that's kind of what I'm hoping for here. I'm also pretty sure Darren is driving the Crescendo, which is ironically the best of his three cars. Oh my god, I just did a front flip. I did not think that was actually going to work, but somehow it did. I'm now right behind Darren, and maybe if it's possible, I can manage to somehow get past him. And he's taking a different route. That's all well and good for me, because it now means I am up into the lead. I just have to hope, of course, that I don't rack myself out before the end of this thing. So, just got one checkpoint to go. Got a big enough lead now to say that I am going to win this first try, and indeed I do. And there's Darren. It's actually amazing to think that I did a front flip in this thing, and I somehow landed on all four wheels. To be completely honest, that was amazing. And where is Homeboy 3? Oh, there he is. Okay. So, no click sound effects, unfortunately, because I've already done each of these races once. But that's okay, because, to me at least, I have done a satisfactory effort of going through each of these races. And now we have to get over to the head-to-head, which, as I mentioned before, is a bit of a bitch, to say the very least. And as to why I say that, well, it's basically like you're trying to avoid machine gun fire that's never ending. And that's basically what I suppose the closest comparison to this head-to-head really is. Yard-o-rama. Soho, Parliament Square, Elephant and Castle, Canary Wharf, South Bank. 3 times across the river, and mind the boys in blue. I'd also like to say this is the single hardest event in the game. So, I've showcased pretty much all the cars we win, but there is one more, however, and that is this. The car we win from beating Darren in Jump the Thames, we get this, the Amata Crescendo, and this, by the way, is going to be the car that I'm using for the head-to-head, because I used this car once and I figured it's only appropriate for me to use it again. As for the colour, well, yeah, fuck it, I'll keep it like this. And now, it is probably going to take hours on end for me to recomplete this, because even though I did do it once, on this memory card, however, it shows I've not done it yet. So this is going to be an interesting couple of hours, or however long it takes. It's also going to be very annoying every time you hear the sirens. Well, after a few minutes, of course, but... anyways, here we go with Yard-o-rama. Trying to see if I can do it again. Okay, first of all, that was heinous. That was a very, 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 very heinous challenge for me to somehow beat. And by the way, that click sound effect proves that we have done it. I also figure, well, whilst I'm here I might as well get some thumbnail evidence of the crescendo whilst I'm here. Because, well, I figured if I'm not able to get any reasonable evidence of the black cab, then I can always get some evidence of the crescendo. But still, I did not think that was going to be the run that somehow got me through to passing it. I mean, that literally took me under an hour, and yet I somehow did it. I was really starting to lose hope, because this was basically the Battle of Stalingrad, except for saying it was in a pinball machine. In other words, I was basically stuck in a pinball machine, trying to see if I could somehow make it through. And I can definitely say right now, I currently feel like the luckiest man alive, knowing that I did somehow manage to pull this through. Especially with that last minute mistake. I really thought for sure that was going to be the nail in the coffin. And I really thought for sure that was going to be the incinerator, but somehow by mere feet, I actually made it. And now that I've done it, I never have to go through this whole thing again. So, in simple context, fuck Yard-o-rama. But anyways, there we go. So that's now all of our events over and done with. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure we've unlocked all the cars now, so I think the only thing that's really left for me to do at this point is to showcase Capture the Flag, and that's what I'm going to do. So these are our settings for Capture the Flag, and well, this is another setting I want to show off whilst I'm here, and you know what? I'm going to turn the opponent off, just because after going through something that was so maniacally infuriating, I figure it's best for me to not have the opponent on. So, got scoring options. I at least want to try and have fun. Maximum score, infinite, why not? Regeneration, none. Heavy flag on, sure, why not? I'm also pretty sure I turned the traffic and pedestrians off. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, that's all good. And driving options, sure, midnight, clear weather, no traffic, no pedestrians. Let's get to it. So, these are the cars we unlock from beating Yard-o-rama. It is by far the single hardest race in this entire game, and unless you want to get super stressed out like I was at one point, then I highly recommend you don't do it. But these are the cars we get. So we get the police car, basically a Vauxhall Astra, the police van, which I'm fairly confident is meant to resemble a Ford Transit, and the police wagon, which I'm pretty sure resembles a Land Rover Defender. Oh, by the way, I should also mention I'm doing Capture the Flag in London because, well, I want to be the stiff-assed Brits. But yeah, there we go. So, Midnight Club is complete. I'm also very relieved to say that I did eventually manage to get past that super tricky head-to-head race, and there is my first flag. I know I may be the only opponent here, but I don't want to get stressed out whilst I'm here. I don't really have any opponents with me because, well, I figured I might as well just take it easy, since that seems to be my best option here. And immediately stepping on the brakes, and already got 50 points on the board already. But yeah, so overall, this was a pretty cool game when it first came out in 2000. Do I think this game holds up to today's standards? No, probably not. But one thing I can say for certain is about this game is that, well, first of all, fuck Yard-o-rama. I absolutely hated practically every second of that one race. It was basically as if the Omen was constantly at my front door. Just waiting to curse me with whatever horror film items he could basically use. In other words, I was basically playing that event with someone worse than... Oh, bollocks. I did not mean to go down into neutral. Well, good thing I don't have the opponent on. But overall, in spite of the many flaws this game has, I can definitely say the physics and handling characteristics, they've aged very, if not extremely poorly in some areas. And it also really doesn't help how with some of these cars, even if they are pretty good handling wise, they also have a tendency to twitch at high speeds, especially if it's at speeds higher than 140, 150. I mean, these cars just get very unstable, or some of them do, at high speeds. They just get very unstable when you're trying to tame them. And no matter what you do, you just cannot countersteer from the in-game effects, knowing that basically once the game has decided to force you into an error, that's it. You've just got... It's basically impossible for you to countersteer away from the error before it happens. And there's also a couple of blind spots that I think Rockstar probably could have done some work on as well, because you literally cannot see in those blind areas where the walls are, and that's in both cities, by the way. And it also probably doesn't help to say that for a game that I don't think would hold out very well by today's standards, they did not include a reset button. And I think that's probably one thing that most street racing games at the time did have, but sadly this one didn't. And I think it probably would have been just a little bit easier if they did think about including a reset button. But yeah. So, it does have a lot of problems, I will admit. But overall, in spite of all this, and also in spite of how frustrated, if you're like me, you will probably get at this game, I think this game is okay altogether. And to be fair, lots of popular gaming series that we know and love today, they all have their humble beginnings somewhat. I mean, hell, even the Gran Turismo series had its humble beginnings at one point, even though it is fair to say that obviously, well, whilst this game was one of the earliest to be released for the PlayStation 2, it certainly wasn't one of the most successful games, I don't think. I really thought for sure that was going to be on the jump, but anyways. Well, I think I'll capture one more flag whilst I'm here. But yeah, so I do think this game is okay. I wouldn't say it's brilliant, but it's a somewhat good game. Kind of sucks to say Rockstar did not make a re-released version of the game to try and fix the issues it has. I think that probably would have made this game better, but overall, I still think it's a somewhat good game altogether, in spite of the issues it has. Won't hold up by today's standards, but I still think it's a game that's well worth. But I still think it's a game that's, no, not well worth, somewhat worth playing at least once or twice in your life. And if you really want to get into the Midnight Club series. But yeah, so I think that's going to be it from me, so yeah. So all I can really say now is a massive thanks to everyone for watching as always, and I will see you all in the next gaming Let's Play I do, and hopefully a game that will be a bit less stressful. So, until then, I am Jordan Mustang 87 saying thanks for watching, and see you later. Peace.